Today we are being sponsored by Be Positive, a self-coaching app coming soon to Apple and Android. Feel the difference. If you or someone you know is at risk of an overdose, then having Narcan on hand could save their life. Please join Toledo Lucas County Health Department and Just Be You to overdose prevention and Narcan training free on Zoom May 29th from 11 a.m. to 11:45 a.m. to learn how to get a free 4 milligram Narcan nasal spray with training. Please feel free to ask us for a copy of the Just Be Together campaign so you can sign it and send us a pic back to help support Just Be You. Hello, and welcome to Just Be You. And today we are going to discuss learning healthy coping methods. I'm Crystal Ellison, and today I have with me Jeremy Riley. Jeremy has suffered from mental illness and substance abuse, and today he is going to share with us his story. Okay, Jeremy, what made you want to share your story with everyone today?
Well, I just like to see other people not have to suffer the way that I had to.
When did you first realize you suffered from mental illness?
I think it really spoke to me last year around this time. I don't know if I was in denial or if I was undereducated about it, and it really the alarms went off last year for me.
How was childhood? What was your family dynamic like?
Well, I came from mostly like a broken home. My parents, they were separated before I was born. And then I had a stepdad. And, you got people trying to make it in this world together that don't really know exactly what's going on.
Right. Did you feel loved and cared for?
Yeah, I felt loved and cared for. It's just, with the way the world's set up, I felt like, I guess I didn't get enough, I didn't get the attention that I needed as a child.
How did you cope with your feelings? What were you feeling then?
Still really hard to say. I'm still trying to figure all that out. I just know I had a lot of anxiety as a kid and impending doom feeling most of the time. Well, not all the time, but a lot of the times, and I didn't understand it. Spent a lot of time not sleeping when I was really young. Worried about a lot of things that were above my age range.
Right. Did you find that drugs, alcohol, and substance numb the pain?
Oh yeah. I never really realized how much it masked the problems that I was facing.
When did you start using substances to cope?
I think I started really experimenting as a teenager. I don't think that I really started probably around the age of 19 or 20 when life started, when you start really seeing what an adult's being like, becoming an adult.
And looking back now, what feelings and emotions were you trying to mask then?
Anxiety, the pressure of the world. Anybody 18, 19, 20 years old really doesn't know what the world's about or growing up is. And I didn't have any guidance. So it made me feel like I could take on the world.
Right. Now, did anybody ever try to help you?
Yeah, there's been a handful of people that have tried to help me. But there was always a lot of miscommunication and a lack of understanding on both sides, on my sides and other people's sides, because a lack of education is what really was the barrier.
Right. Now, did you ever try to seek help yourself?
Yeah, multiple times. I've been in the rehabs. I was even in the psych ward once, I believe.
I was
Go
just
ahead.
about to ask, what kind of help did you seek? So you,
Yeah, that. That's mostly. I mean, I've done a lot of self-help searching in the last probably 10 to 12 years.
hmm
And I mean, each time that I went to seek out help, I learned something different.
Now,
Are you there?
which methods
Okay.
of help did you not like?
Well, none of them at first, mostly because they were all trying to push you into growing, right? And growing is uncomfortable, especially if you don't know what you're doing, right?
Right.
I'm not a real big fan of like group rehabs.
Right.
I'm more of an individual person, one-on-one.
What do you wish you had done differently?
I wish I'd probably wish I would have listened a little sooner to some of the people, right? Regardless
Yeah.
if they knew how I was feeling or what I was saying, they were still what they were saying was right.
Right.
You know, probably not rebelled as much.
Right. What treatment do you feel helped you the most?
Well, to be honest with you, my family turned their back on me last year. Turned their backs on me, kind of
hmm
told me it was time to sink or swim, right?
Yeah.
And because they couldn't give me the help that I was seeking, so I kind of backed myself in the corner to have to try to figure it out.
Yeah, that makes sense. How would you say your mental health was while you were using?
I mean, if there was a scale, I would be off the charts probably. You know, super high, super low, depression, anger, anxiety, yeah, all that. It was
Right.
just beyond situational depression. It was just, yeah, it was high.
Yeah. Now, what would you say your mental health was like during recovery?
Still, it was hills and valleys, good days, bad days.
Was there a big difference from your mental health from using to recovery?
Yeah, it wasn't as manic. It was starting to level out a little bit. I mean,
Mhm.
obviously the drugs, they seem to almost enhance whatever you got going on mentally, on the
Right.
inside. So each day, like, I'd have some really good days and then I'd have some bad days still. And still even today, I still have, I mean, it's part of life.
Right. Now, did you ever have any point of like major rock bottom? And how did you
Oh
get
yeah.
out of it if you did?
Major rock bottom.
hmm
Trying to think what would be. I mean, last year was me. It was a pivotal time in my life. Well, I'm 33 years old now, so it's like
hmm
I've been wanting to move forward for so long in my life that seeing my kids last year, seeing them getting older and becoming the same age I was when I started to get lost really woke me up last year.
Right.
It was like watching it all happen again, right?
hmm
My life happened in their life, and that's the last thing I've ever wanted.
Right. Now, did you have at any time during this, did you ever contemplate ending your life? And if so, can you explain it in detail?
I mean, I've had a couple like cry outs. They weren't like intended for me
Mhm.
to like die, maybe self harm.
Right.
I've contemplated would it be better for me to be gone, and I've had myself convinced that more than once, I think. But when it comes down to it, I don't want to die. You know what I mean?
Right.
I still see hope in the future,
Right.
regardless. And I guess I'm just a fighter. I don't know. I
That's
don't
good to
believe in
hear.
throwing a towel.
Right. That's really good to hear. How did your life experiences lead you to cope with substances?
Well, I mean, I've seen a lot of it growing up.
hmm
The people that I had to look up to, that was kind of their thing. and I never really seen too many healthy coping mechanisms inside of my circle.
Right.
So that's all I like really had to go to. It seemed like, I mean, looking back now, it's easier for me to say that there was other ways, but then that's all I
Mhm.
saw, especially after getting hooked on them after my surgery. Like things just completely escalated after that.
Now, if you don't mind me asking, what type of surgery did you have that you felt caused you to
Well,
use?
I had a lower ingrown hernia
Oh,
surgery,
okay.
so they had a hernia repair, and they had prescribed me, opiates back then. And
At what age were you, if you don't mind me asking?
I was either 15 or 16.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
How do you feel mental health treatment could have prevented this?
I've been through several counselors, and all the stuff is pretty much the same. I think that it all depends on the person. I mean, I can't speak for anybody else, but for me, it just wasn't time until I was ready to get honest with myself.
Right. So what are you doing now to continue healing?
Whew, it's a daily thing, right? I've
Mhm.
started creating things for myself to do that are small and meaningful, that give me a sense of, they give me pleasure and help my vibe to stay up, So I paint and create and craft, just little things, really small things.
I'm going to go back to the slideshow that I showed at the beginning and just add in there that the butterfly that I had added into that video, that's one of my favorites that you've done recently. So just wanted to let everybody know that. And how is your relationship with your family now?
It's much better. Communication has went through. I've never had communication like this in my life, right?
Mm-hmm.
We all check on each other and, like lean on each other like we're supposed to, because I've never really experienced that in my life.
Right.
It really sucks that it had to go the way it did for it to happen like that. But everybody's moving forward together right now. So,
That's awesome. So you feel like you have a really good support system now?
oh yeah. Yep.
That's
I have a
good.
really good safety net.
That's awesome. If you could give anyone advice who is actively using right now, what advice would you give them?
I've almost got out of the advice giving business, because it's what I say can mean something totally different to somebody else. And just
Right.
be honest. Just be honest with yourself. That's what it comes down to, at least in my mind. Get honest. What do you want?
And if you could give any caregiver advice, what advice would you give them?
Be patient. Try to understand as best you can. And I know it's hard. It's really hard to understand somebody else's turmoil, but be patient.
Right. Is there anything else you would like others to know?
Communication is key.
Communication, yes.
Yeah, it's key.
And lastly, Jeremy, what do you see your future like now?
It's pretty bright out there right now. It's bright. I feel like I'm gonna have some kind of opportunity in my life to have the life that I've always desired.
Great to
Might not
hear.
come it might not come as quick as I want it, but it's gonna happen.
All right. All right, Jeremy, thank you. And we appreciate you taking your time out today to share your story and helping Just Be You become successful. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to reach out to Just Be You, and feel free to contact and follow us on Facebook, or even send us an email for any questions or comments. We will be having another webinar soon, so please follow us for more details. Thank you guys for joining us and supporting both Just Be You and Be Positive, coming soon to Apple and Android.
Thank you, Crystal.
And again, if you or someone you know is at risk of an overdose, then having Narcan on hand could save their life. Please join Toledo Lucas County Health Department and Just Be You to overdose prevention and Narcan training, free on May 29th from 11 a.m. to 11:45 a.m. to learn how to get a free 4 milligram Narcan nasal spray with training.